So if we have decided to use video in our classrooms, either as foundational content or as supplemental material, one of the biggest concerns that comes up is how do we ensure that the students are actually watching the videos? And maybe further to that, if they're watching the videos, how do we ensure that they are not just fast forwarding through it, or how do we ensure that they're actually absorbing and retaining some of the content presented in those videos? And prior to this, most of the time when I was asked this question, I would use the old tried and true method of a teacher, which is responding to a question with a question, and I would answer something like, well, how did you know they were reading the textbook? Or how did you make sure they were listening in class? And now, these days at least, I have a better answer. And that answer is in the form of more technology through a tool that I use called EDpuzzle. Now, I should note that EDpuzzle has not paid me. This is not an endorsement. I'm sure EDpuzzle has no idea that I even exist, aside from maybe being on a mailing list or something like that. And I'm sure that there are other tools out there that do a very similar thing. But really what EDpuzzle allows you to do is take a video that's already out there in the public domain, be it on YouTube or some other video website, and it allows you to enter the video within your own classroom, that is to your own students. You can edit the video in terms of length, that is you can chop off a bit at the beginning, you can chop off a bit at the end, you can be selective of the video that your students are actually going to watch. And not only that, because you can import your students into your own classroom, you can figure out who's watching the video for how long. You can set it up so that they can't fast forward through the video. And you can even embed quizzing features into your videos, or at least these snippets of the videos. If you don't like the way that something is worded or you present it a little differently, you can even voice over the videos or add text into the videos. So I think this is an excellent tool for teachers to take videos that are already out there and start to adjust them, tweak them just a little bit to their own liking. And that way, that doesn't necessitate you having to make your own videos. Rather, you can take ones that you like wholly or in part, and now you can turn it into an even more valuable teaching tool. So with any piece of technology, the best way to get a sense of how it works is just to dive right in. So let's take a look. So as we see here, this is the main EDpuzzle screen. Now, I've already logged in. If you want to, you can go to edpuzzle.com. You can create your own account, or if you're a Google school, you can link your Google account into it, or if you have an Edmodo, you can use your Edmodo account to link into it here as well. But I've linked in through my Google account, and as a result, I can import my classes and my students from my Google Classroom, so I don't have to type them in individually. If I wanted to, or if I wasn't a Google teacher, I could create my own class name here, and then I could import my students individually. I could invite students, if I wished, by having them enter that into their own account and by visiting that link. So even if you don't have your account set up through your Google Classroom, you can send it to them through Twitter or even through email so that the students can log into the account. But either way, this is the home screen that you have. And right now, I don't have any classes set up or anything like that. But you can import students very easily into this EDpuzzle homepage. So let's create a lesson. The first thing that we're going to do is search. We're just going to search for a video, and you can see that already some have popped up. But notice all of the selections here along the side of these channels and these sites that you can use videos from. Now, I'm going to click on YouTube, and we can see that some of the search results are there, and I'm just going to search JFR Science and come up with a video. Now, the video that I choose to use, I can see that there are a whole bunch of different ones here that I can use. Let's say I am going to use an introduction to the mole, which is a general concept in chemistry. So it gives me an option here to copy it or use it. I'm just going to use it. And now we can see this is sort of the home screen for editing the video and creating your lesson. And once we have a video selected that we are going to use, we can see the options that we have in order to edit this video. Now, it should be noted that if you have any questions at all or any concerns for any one of these particular subjects or objects, we can see that EDpuzzle actually has its own video tutorial. So if I wanted to know how to crop a lesson or why I needed to crop a lesson, EDpuzzle actually has embedded in it its own YouTube videos to help explain how and why you might go about doing that. So we can see here that this is the video that I want to use. But this video is about 11 minutes long. It's a pretty significant concept in chemistry. But if I only want to use a very small portion of it, I actually can crop the video down to the times that I want to use it. So let's say I only want to use about the middle 5 minutes of this video. I can do that using the crop feature. Now let's say I don't like what this individual is saying. If I wanted to change or voice over what's going on, I could add my own audio track. And if I inserted my own audio track here, I can now click on the microphone and record my own voice over top of what's going on in the video. Now, unfortunately, as you can see here, you have to record the entire portion of that video. So in this instance, I would have to voice over the entire 5 minutes. And it might not make sense for a video like this where you have an individual talking in the video, but for a video that has excellent visuals, you might have a little bit of a different way that you teach this concept, or perhaps some different terminology that you might use in teaching a particular concept. And so the voice annotation portion of it, where you just click on this microphone and speak over it, might be helpful in that instance. Now, if you wanted to introduce this particular concept, this is an opportunity for you to introduce the concept through your own audio, and maybe you don't want to voice over the whole video, but maybe you do want to have an introduction to the video, or perhaps you want to have a concluding statement for the video, or maybe you want to have a remark or some clarification or a point where you might teach a concept a little bit differently, and this is an opportunity for you to do that using this particular audio note feature. Now, I've taught you 3 tools that EDpuzzle offers so far. There is the crop feature, which is going to be important for you if there's only certain segments of the video that you want to watch or want to focus on. There is the voiceover feature, which I can't imagine a whole lot of teachers are going to do because you'd really have to know what you're going to say for a 2 or a 5 or a 10-minute portion of the video. I think the voice notes are interesting. If you want to have an introduction or a conclusion or a clarification, that might be helpful. But the feature that I find really cool is the ability to quiz students while they're watching the video. So if we take a look at this quizzing feature here, we can see that it allows us to insert some questions into this portion of the video. We would have to click on the question mark up here to open up the quizzing feature dialog. We can click on this little button down here, which opens up our quiz dialog, and we can start to type in a question we would like. And you can see there are different variations. Some of them are just going to have an open-ended question. Some of them are just going to be discussion points or comments. And this question here is probably the one that most teachers will use, and that is a multiple choice question. So let's say that we were going to type in a question here because the concept that we're dealing with is an important one. And we can type in our answer there, and we can see if the students are going to understand the concept or if they are going to struggle with it. So this is the correct option. This is the incorrect option. And now that I've created my question and my 2 possible answers, you can see that you can also add answers there. I'm going to save this particular question. And as this video plays, I can now start to think about where I might like to put another question. So it should be noted that we don't necessarily have to use this quizzing feature just to monitor the student's progress or to figure out whether they're understanding the concept. Imagine if you use this within a video that was meant to be thought-provoking, or perhaps within a video that outlined a particular procedure or technique. You could put in questions, probing questions, thought-provoking questions that would require students to think a little bit more critically about what they're viewing. And who knows, these questions could serve as a springboard for further projects based on what they're watching and what they're viewing. Just a thought. And you can embed as many questions as you like, but it's probably a good idea not to put maybe more than 3 or 4 or maybe 1 question for any large concept that you have in there, because obviously the students are going to have enough of their own time watching the video. You don't want to have them spending too much time with the quizzing feature. So if I'm all done, now I can click on Save and Finish. Okay, so now we've created our video lesson. We can see some of the features that EDpuzzle has to offer in order to create a dynamic lesson using video. But, as I said earlier, EDpuzzle also allows you to figure out who's been watching the video and how they've been doing on the quizzes. So let's take a look at how we do that. As we can see here, we have the assignment that I have created. Now notice there's no due date because I didn't put one in, but if I wanted to monitor the progress of my students, I can click on Progress. Now I can see my students' names, I can see whether or not they've watched the video, I can see the grade that they got on the quiz, the last time they watched the video, and when they turned in that quiz. I can also reset it. In fact, I can even export it as a CSV, which is just something that will allow us to copy and paste it into a spreadsheet. And I can see how they did on the individual questions. So now with EDpuzzle, not only do we have a tool that allows us to personalize these videos, but it offers the option to monitor our students in terms of whether or not they're watching the videos, how many times they've watched the videos. It allows us to prevent skipping through the videos, and it even allows us to monitor whether or not the students are understanding the concepts presented in those videos through the quizzing feature. So hopefully after watching this video, you've got a better understanding of how EDpuzzle can be used to help any teacher implement any video within their classroom, whether it's a flipped learning model or not. Thanks for watching.